I did not like One Piece. In hindsight, this is probably the pop that I'm most disappointed in. My One Piece like pop rock bottom. He's got fire on his foot, fire on his foot. He's got fire on his foot. Need a fucking I'm letting all these One Piece fans down and I can't be doing that. What's up everybody? It's time for a One Piece video. Yes, I'm kicking off this channel with my obsession for One Piece. And I wore my One Piece shirt. This is my only One Piece shirt that I have. We got it for going to a One Piece Mariners game. And so since this is the One Piece video, I figured I'd get decked out. And I also have this. Also this right here. I got this hat to go to the One Piece Symphony. Amazing stuff. I just wanted to sit down and make a video about a couple things. So I'm the Funko pop designer concept artist for a lot of the anime stuff. For most of the One Piece pops, if I counted correctly, I've concepted about 83 out of 128. That's a lot of One Piece pops, and I want to break it down. I want to break all of my like thought process about One Piece in general. My journey to watching this show basically brought me back to my childhood and has like reawakened my love for anime. And the whole reason I did this endeavor of watching all 1,000+ episodes of One Piece is because I wanted to make the pops better. And I don't really know of like the best way to show my credentials for me being the concept artist. I I have this trophy. I've been here for 5 years. Um, so I started as a packaging designer and then moved over to like a utility artist and then eventually became a concept artist and then worked my way into the like anime side of things by talking with Sean. He was the art director at the time and I just basically was like, Sean, I grew up watching anime. I love anime. It's literally my life. It's all I draw. Can I take on some more of the anime pops? And he gave me Dragon Ball Z and then it's just been off to the races from there. But as I've been going, I've been giving these One Piece pops, and I will say, I'm gonna put this down. Here are my credentials. I can put it right here. I'm gonna make a statement, and you guys might not like it. If I'm just gonna be completely blunt, I did not like One Piece. It's just it didn't appeal to me. I didn't like the art style. I didn't understand it. I didn't see the hype or understand the hype at all. And because of that, I felt like it started bleeding into my designs for the One Piece pops. I started realizing and becoming disappointed in a lot of the One Piece pops that I was working on because I just like never understood the context or the character or what the point of like what any of it meant. And for the most part, like around the office, we had people who had watched it. So I would go to those people and get filled in on like the character and like ask them like what's the best pose or like for thing I could do for them to like celebrate the character. But ultimately I feel like I never really just understood or really just cared about One Piece. I started becoming disappointed in myself because I want to make the best. I want to make the all-time best concepts I can for everything. And One Piece was getting like rapidly more popular and I was getting like assigned way more One Piece pops and I started kind of trying to understand like why is this show so good? And then I distinctly remember the Gear 5 clip. The Gear 5 clip came out and then I saw it and I was like this is like nothing I've ever seen before. Um and now in hindsight seeing the whole show and the build up to Gear 5 and then the actual transformation is like damn, I wish I didn't spoil it because that would be crazy. But how is it even possible to not spoil Gear 5 when you're on the internet at this point? Like it would have been impossible to avoid spoiling Luffy turning Gear 5 even if you were like extremely separated from One Piece. And so to recap, I'm a Funko designer. I work on the concepts. My credentials is this 5-year trophy. I've been here for 7 years, and I've done 86 out of the pretty much 128 One Piece pops that are out right now. That number might be a little off. As of like today, it's March 21st, 2025. Um, because we are just like constantly releasing more and more. So let's sail into this, shall we? I was gonna say jump into this, but Philly D has like kind of like taken that phrase. So let's sail into this in through to the Grand Line and go through my journey of discovering and watching and falling in love with One Piece. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Bella, who inspired me to just commit and watch all. I was at first I was like, should I just like watch a recap of this show? She was like, no, it's just not the same. I was like, should I like skip the filler arcs at least or something? Tatsu wants in. Shout out to Bella for getting me in. She was like inspiring me to watch all the filler, just get immersed in the world, or fall in love with the characters for who they are. It's not about the ending, it's about the journey. She like gave me all these like bullet points that just really stuck with me. Legend. I set up a little sheet and we're gonna switch over to this sheet. This hat being right here is like actually kind of annoying. How's it look with it on? Pretty silly. Sure. Let's wear it for a little bit. This is after I've seen the show and have like become grossly obsessed, and I have all this merch. I have a Brook right here. I have like a little straw hat in a bottle. I have like a little Luffy char. Like there's Momonosuke is right here. It's just like all over my office now. I'm just like the biggest One Piece fan, and I would have never expected it. But about this sheet, this is all of the currently announced Funko Pops, Funko One Piece Pops. And what I've done here, you'll notice there's a lot of red boxes on the sheet. And because of that, I just wanted to make it easy for you and show you that those were all the ones I did in design or concept or work on. So all the ones that don't have a red box on them are the ones that I concepted and designed. And this is the part where you might be a little mad at me. You might get a little mad at me. But I swear it gets better. First off, shout out Live Drad's Funko Pop full set recap. Are you kidding me right now? This cat wants back out. You gotta be kidding me. You gonna stay out this time? This Luffy right here, I made this yellow because this is when I started going like, whoop, One Piece. One Piece is really popular, and I really want to make these look really good. I started around this Luffy, which as you will notice is pretty low. Pretty low on the list. But trust me, I got as much context as I could before like drawing them. I tried to understand the character, but you just don't understand the character enough unless you've seen all 100,000 million episodes of this show. Every character has a massive history at this point, and if you're just like dipping in and looking at a bunch of pictures, you kidding me right now? She was hungry. If you don't understand, if you haven't seen all of this show, you don't understand the character, and you're not going to get a lot of context by just word of mouth, what they do, what their powers are, and just a bunch of pictures of them. And that's pretty much how I designed a lot of these. I'm sorry, this is just how it goes. You need to and now at this point in my career, in my time at Funko, I basically watch every single thing that I'm assigned, pretty much. This is the Luffy that basically I designed. This was the first one that I like really tried to understand. Like, how can I give these characters the best look I could? And this is where I started the show. And all of this stuff previously, I didn't understand the context. I just want to make a few notes before I go past that Luffy where I've started watching the show and everything. This Luffy right here, I've got it all set up. I've got the scene. We're here. I want to talk about this one real quick. Boy, did I feel a wave of regret when I saw this scene after making this pop. First off, if you'll notice, and I did see the comment, so I did already know that it was wrong offhand, but I did not know how wrong it was until I actually saw the scene. But fucking Law is so awesome. Such a legend. Okay, right here. You notice something very obvious? Bro is punching with the wrong hand. I concepted the wrong hand, guys. For this moment. Like look at like I could have added some of this. Some of this goodness. When's he shooting up? Yeah, this moment right here. Oh, I could have added some hockey, bro. I could have added some of the Black Lightning. Like I could have added something, but I did not understand like how important all of that was until 1,000 episodes later. So, in hindsight, this is probably the pop that I'm most disappointed in. So there's that. Couple of notes. There's a few notes. Gear 5. I really wanted to make Gear 5 look good. I saw the clips. And this is how it came out. I didn't realize that the colored eyes would be like super duper important at first. You know how like we do like Super Saiyan Goku and everything, how Luffy has the pink eyes. So that was a big comment. And if I could just be blunt and real with you guys, I'd be looking at the comments. Like I'm in there looking at everybody's comments and feedback and everything about pretty much anything I concept because I want to be the best I can, and I want to take everybody's feedback, and I just want to make them as fucking awesome as possible. Gear 5 Luffy, he came along, I made him missing a mouth, and you'll notice in some of these other pops, they have mouths, dude. Like we put mouths on like way before, you know, like Big Mom, Gold Roger is another one in hindsight that I like really, really wish I had seen the show when I was assigned them. Because to me, like he's like jolly. He's like he's like a laughy, funny guy. And in all of the like artwork and everything that I've seen of him at the time, he was like more serious. But this backstory, like after seeing the show, like I loved this backstory so much, and I loved how Goldie Roger like had similar personality to Luffy. And I feel like I could have given him a big smile. I feel like I could have given him a better pose, like with like the clash between him and Whitebeard was like amazing. I knew he was the guy that was on the stands and the got executed and was like go find the One Piece, but I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his personality. So Goldie Roger is another one that I'm kind of disappointed in. I'm just getting all of the ones I'm disappointed in out of the way so I could like move on past where I started watching it and then talk to you guys about how I started loving this show and it's like become everything to me. But let's see. Snake Man turned out all right. I think I did pretty good. But I could probably do a better Snake Man now because I fucking love that form. Kaido is just standing there. He's standing there menacingly, and while that is like that's a good lever to pull, is just the menacing stance. Kaido is much more like bigger and like scary looking than I feel like how I portrayed him here. Yeah, Whitebeard. Whitebeard could have been much better. It could have been much better, dude. Because just so you know, Marineford, I'll shoot straight with you guys. Once I started watching One Piece, I was not getting into it until I was like kind of approaching Marineford. In Thriller Bark, I'm gonna pull the band-aid off. It was really fucking boring, and I just did it was really hard to like keep pressing through those episodes for me. But then I got to Saba Odi, and then I got to freaking Kuma like teleporting all the straw hats everywhere, and then Luffy finding out that Ace was gonna get executed, and then that's when I started locking in and being like, oh shoot, like okay, I hope fucking Luffy can get to Ace. He spends all these episodes like getting his ass over to Ace, and then fucking the Paramount War happens, and like I was just into every single episode. I loved Whitebeard. I love how Luffy is just this amazing character that just says fuck you to like everyone. Bro punched a celestial dragon, the Paramount War, and then finding out that like Luffy went all the fucking way across the whole sea to save his brother only to lose him. I was sold. I loved One Piece, and I was like fully ready to watch the next like 600 episodes. Yamato, I think Yamato could have been way better. Like as a One Piece fan that has come to the other side and have seen everything and can now like look at all these pops from a different point of view, Yamato could have been better. And then we started doing the wanted posters. There were some One Piece fans though, like they mostly got the sculpts, so they to make up for my like misunderstanding of One Piece, they would usually be assigned to sculptors that did like the show and would like make them the ones you see today. Like, oh my god, if you could see my concepts like prior to when I started really liking it, like I'll say like the sculptors really brought them to a new level, as they always do. Let me just say shout out to the sculptors. Kevin was the first one that I remember who was like really into One Piece and got assigned all of those. I believe he may have sculpted one of the Sunny boats, or I call them Sunny boats because my son calls it the Sunny boat. That's silly, but he sculpted that. Janie was an amazing sculptor. She sculpted Law. Nina was also just an incredible sculptor, and she sculpted a lot of One Piece pops and really understood One Piece and saw the show. So there was a lot of sculptors there. And bro, if it weren't for the sculptors, like these things would not nearly be as amazing as they are. So it's like the freaking sculptors are the like the engine, the heartbeat. They're the ones that make the figures. So they're very important. And I'm glad that there were a lot of fans of the show that sculpted most of the line. The nothing happened scene, dude. I had no This one I didn't have the context on. I mean it's pretty straightforward though. Like you see the picture of Zoro standing there looking like that. It's kind of like pretty easy to do. But I didn't know how like heavy of a moment it was until I got to that point. And freaking ugh and Kuma. Don't even get me started on Kuma, especially with the episode that just came out, dude, and Egghead Part 2. His backstory just started and I saw that last night, and and as a dad of a 2-year-old, I didn't handle it well. And then I recounted his entire backstory to Leah, and I almost cried doing that. Fucking Kuma, bro. Katakuri is another one that was like he's a big deal. He's a way bigger deal than I thought he would be in the show. And Whole Cake, he was like Luffy's main villain in Whole Cake, other than Big Mom. I feel like I could have done something with his gum gum fruit, like put some donuts in there, put some just like something, some sort of effects, maybe show his mouth. Um, but that's the Katakuri we got because I didn't really understand how important he was. And yeah, and then we get to the Luffy that have just like I just hit my rock bottom, my One Piece like pop rock bottom, where I was like, wow, I got this one so wrong. The fans don't really like it that much, and if I could have gotten it right, this one would have been really really sick. I need some water as I drink some root beer. Luffy, Luffy's there. I saw the comments about the no mouth. You need his signature smile for the Gear 5. So I was like, let's get the smile. But a lot of people think they look like fangs, which I understand. The idea was to do like teeth going backwards, but you're totally right. From like a distance, I can see that they're just fangs. Kaido Dragon. Didn't know the show. Kevin knew the show. And he knew Kaido. He was watching it. So glad he got the sculpt. It looks amazing. If you could have seen my concept for this, it would have been so bad. There was no fire. There was no smoke like around him. Kevin cooked on Kaido. Beast Kaido also. Like, oh, if I could like I know the punching it's most of the like Kaido fight. I just wish I could just redesign Wano again with the like context. I wish I could redesign Kaido's dragon, Kaido beast form, regular Kaido, um, Yamato, Luffy punching upwards, but took me just I just hadn't seen the show then. And then we get to this set. This is where I started like watching One Piece. This is where I started deciding. I saw the comments about the uppercut Luffy and how it was wrong. And I was like, I need to understand this show. I need to understand the cultural phenomenon behind this show. So I want to be a part of this community that loves this show so much because everybody that I've ever met has been like sweet and genuinely just like wanting people to experience this like peak story, this like Odyssey, once in a lifetime type of story that is been running for 25 years and his is not over yet, but it's been the whole time building to something, and it's not just been like an episodic adventure with no like point at the end of it. It's like nothing like this show. And I decided like I need to be there for when it ends. I need to be a part of the like cultural event of it ending and share in that excitement, because when this thing ends, it's gonna be crazy. But so I started watching the show. Still hadn't fully seen up to like Luffy like recruiting all the Straw Hats by the time I got assigned this. So I took a lot of advice from Nina, who's a sculptor now at Kaleidos Creative. Check them out. Kaleidos Creative is a pretty much a grouping of old Funko people started their own company and make really beautiful designer figures. So please go check them out. I really wanted to make Sanji a simp. I looked at all the previous Sanjis. You know, he's like kicking. He's got fire on his foot, fire on his foot. He's got fire on his foot. There not a single Sanji that is not like kicking with fire on his foot? So so that's why I decided. And at this point, this is when I've probably seen like 200 episodes, and Sanji is just like an annoying simp. He's just like simping all the time, and it's just annoying. It's like I just did not like Sanji for so long. I'm just gonna say it out the gate. I didn't like Sanji until Whole Cake, obviously, which is when I'm assuming a lot of other people started liking Sanji. This is my reference sheet of that Sanji. You can see a lot of hearts happening. And then I found this one panel in the manga, and I was like, oh, he's doing a little whirlwind. I love that. And I was like, I could take these hearts and put them up against his head. I can give him his heart eye. So that was kind of the main panel inspiration behind that specific Sanji. So you could see he had the heart on his hair. I haven't done I before this Sanji, I hadn't thought a lot about like putting effects on the head to like as a continuation from the body. So Sanji was kind of like a fun breakthrough where you had the three hearts on his head, one was his eye, and then like you had the hearts coming up. So that was fun. And you got the translucent little spin. And I really liked how this one came out. I think this is the first one that I was like, I'm like genuinely proud of this, and I think I finally kind of nailed a One Piece pop. And I understand the character now because I've started watching the show, and I also like put a little spite into it because he was annoying, and it's also like was completely different from all of the existing Sanji pops, and it highlighted his character as I feel like he should be. But some people said it looked like he was sitting on a toilet. So, you know, it's a give or take. What can you say? It does kind of look like a toilet, but what can you do? I like it. Nami was kind of a big deal because we use the like the crying eyes. It's so funny now. Whenever I like do a One Piece pop that's crying, or like any sort of pop that's crying, I'm like, let's do the Nami tears. Like we all reference like we need to do some Nami tears on a specific like pop that's crying, and basically the translation of some Nami tears is just like sculpted translucence. We got Luffy. You know, he's just being himself. Wanted to like give him his personality, give him his mouth. Like, dude hasn't had a mouth. Like Luffy is the character whose smile is like most recognizable by everybody around the world, but we just didn't get decide to give him a mouth until this. Wait, we gave him a mouth there. Like, it is kind of crazy that there's mouths on all of these pops, but Luffy's mouth is not on. Like, we didn't give a mouth to Luffy. Like, can you imagine like him having a mouth in some of these? Like, he has such an iconic mouth that just adds so much personality, you know? It just like really makes the character who they are for me personally. There may be some cases where the mouth isn't there, but for Luffy, it's crazy that he didn't really have a mouth until this. But we had the Fang situation again, so I'm like learning because I because the teeth, you know how teeth is just they like roll back, if your mouth is open, like just by perspective, but bro looks like he has fangs. In Zoro, this one, I just want to take a little credit. Someone took on my little Luffy hat strings for this one. He didn't have a chase originally, and I was like, put the freaking bandana on his head and put the sword in his mouth. There was a lot of like, whenever I make these ideas, I like make everybody's jobs harder because then they have to like ask all these other people if it's okay. It's something I try not to do too often because like me throwing a wrench in the development like that, where I'm like, we need to add a chase to this and make it and give him the bandana and the sword in his mouth and everything. Doing that like needs to go through so many different channels. It gives so many different people more work basically. So, but this one I feel it was just like a must have. It just would be a really fucking sick chase and it wouldn't cost that much if we just added a mouth. But then there's a little small detail that is like very important but also still costs. And that's the sword and the sheath. We had to do a new sheath mold so his sword could be sheathed, because if we just like put the sword in his mouth and gave him the bandana and still had one of the swords in his sheath, that that would have been weird. And then we got to the Nami wanted poster, and I thought the pose that she went with, I thought it was pretty good. It's the best you could do for a pop. I mean, I know it feels a little awkward, and I even talked to the sculpt lead, like, is this gonna kind of break immersion or like break the suspension of belief having her like arm kind of awkwardly back here? But I wanted her to be holding her hair like in the photo, and that's how it happened. Kizaru, dude. I think Kizaru turned out pretty good. And I didn't really know who he was at the time. I just like tried to look up a lot of like pictures of him, videos, and statues. I think he's pretty good. Now this. Now let me tell you why this is green. We'll zoom out. All the red ones I haven't done. This is the yellow one where I was like, okay, One Piece is, I gotta start watching One Piece. And then we get to the green. And the green one is when I'm like deep, deep into One Piece and I'm really loving it and I want every pop to look good. But I didn't get to Luffy saving Ace by the time I got this pop assigned. I didn't really understand Ace's execution. Mind you, I'm still like Thriller. I think I'm around Thriller Bark when concepting this. And boy, oh boy, do I wish I added more to it. Bro could have been crying, could have had a mouth, could have like had like chains on him. It's just a little, it's, he's doing what he's doing in the show, but it's just underwhelming because it's a really heavy moment. So, but this is where I like realize like between Ace and that the punching up Luffy, like I need a fucking, I'm letting all these One Piece fans down and I can't be doing that, especially if it's like the #1 show in the world and everybody watches it. I was really happy with Killer. I liked Killer and how he came out. Still hadn't seen Wano at this point, so I don't really know who he is, but I watched a lot of his scenes and I really like at this point I really want all the One Piece pops to look good and I want them to look like I understand the characters even though I'm not like at this part in the show. Killer, I think he turned out pretty cool. The base, it's frustrating that like he couldn't be supported by um this big thing hitting the ground, and you're gonna understand something about me. And if you've seen any videos of me talking about pops before, I do not like bases. I don't like flight stands. I just want the pop to like, I just want the whole pop to be immersed in like some sort of environmental thing holding them up if they can't stand. So that's my like rant about bases. But these are pretty, these are, I kind of wish the Luffy pop was like not on a statue. Like this is a cool one. Zoro's like pretty underwhelming. Now this, now we're getting into, and this is a real shame because we're literally at the we're literally at the end. We're getting into me like actively fighting to like spend money on these pops and make them look cool. I was like, we need to add the molten effect. We need to get the like lava coming down from him. Smoker, I really wanted him to be like suspended in a smoky base with his legs kind of like disappearing within the smoke because that's just kind of how he flies around. This one I was really excited about, and at this point I have not gotten to Wano yet. I think I'm at Fishman Island, and so with this one I asked Bella from the beginning, who inspired me. I was like, Bella, what does Kid do? What's his powers? I want to make this one look good. We already did one before, which was up here, and I had no freaking clue who he was. Although some people do say this one is better than the current one, and it seems that it's because of the mouth, possibly because the mouth came out a little awkward on the current one. But I do like this one though, because this is one that I like understood Kid. This was the screenshot that I was like basing this pose off of. It's like happens really quickly. It's like a 4 or 5 frame moment. And so this one, I was like, this is a really cool way that I can kind of illustrate his devil fruit, which is like he magnetically attracts things, getting the lightning to hold on to pieces that were like coming into his arm. And yeah, shout out to Bella for giving me the rundown on this guy's devil fruit power and helping me develop him. We got Zoro and King. So the thing about pop moments is basically a stage with like 2 pops on them. And to me, that if we're doing a moment, that feels a little that's kind of a phoned in moment. Is it's just like a flat stage with 2 pops. And you really got to punch up the like either effects or environment or immersion in it. So I was like, okay, well, how about we lift up King because he is coming in from like higher above, and I think we all collectively made the decision to add in the little fire dragon under him, and I was like, let's add in these like streaks to like really give it a sort of directional approach, and you can see like there's like a consistency in the streaks that kind of give it a general like diagonal composition. And we like pretty much come to the end. I think at this point I was around like Dressrosa. Really happy with Nami's. I think Nami is super cute, but that's pretty much all I have to say about these. The boats, I didn't work on the boats. I was like, Kevin, this was before I like even started watching the show, and I love these. I'm not mistaken, those are all of the One Piece pops that are public. Oh, boy, oh boy. I cannot wait for you guys. Okay, wait. So we're on my guy's Skittle Rampages pages, which is basically this is how I like keep up with what's coming out. Oh shoot. Are you serious? Here we are. Skittles account. Shout out Skittle Rampage. He's the account that I keep up with to see what does the public see? Because I don't know when anything's gonna get announced. Are those all the One Piece? Blackbeard? Blackbeard? I didn't know who Blackbeard was. I didn't get to the Blackbeard fight when he was fighting Ace, and so this one has taken a really long time to be developed. I concepted this like a year and a half, 2 years ago, so didn't have the context for Blackbeard, and I feel like it could have been better. Boa? I do like this boa. I like how this boa came out. So I didn't get to the Paramount War. There's a scene. This was the reference I used for the boa pop. I mean, it's pretty. Like, look at this. It's pretty 1-to-1. I feel like the assignment was understood. So, and it seems like people like it. So, Chopper with cotton candy, cute. That's all I gotta say. Oh, the Naruto. Now I'm just going down a rabbit hole. But the Naruto set, you guys. Freaking everybody who worked on it cooked. Carla sculpt. That's a Carla sculpt. Sarah did the colors, made them look really good. I really wanted to get Team 7 doing some cool action poses. They look good. Is there any One Piece pops I missed? We're all caught up. We're all caught up on the ones that you all know about. I'm going to end this video. Now that you have a good idea of where my head was at while making all these One Piece pops, and I've completely finished the show. I am keeping up with it every week. Tatsu seriously wants back in. I just want to make my solemn vow to you guys that I am going to do the absolute best I can to make these One Piece pops as good as they can possibly be. And you have no idea what's coming down the pipeline. There are so many insanely good ones that I'm like so freaking excited about. Everybody who buys the One Piece pops, I am now a true fan. I've caught up. I've seen all the episodes, and I plan because I have Shinron here because Dragon Ball Z was like is like my main thing. I plan to put Momonosuke in basically the same setup, but he's gonna be a baby. I haven't even touched on Momonosuke. Momonosuke is my favorite character in the whole entire show. I know some people don't like him, some people do, but the whole arc of Luffy and Momonosuke, like Luffy just bullies him into being like a braver person because he's like a freaking shogun, so he needs to show it. How he finds him as a child dragon in Momonosuke's little child dragon design. Like I have this. Like look at that cute little guy. Look at that cute little guy. He's missing a whisker because I think one of my cats like bit it off. But yeah, Momonosuke is like my all-time favorite character. I can show you. I love this show so much now. I collect the cards. You can see on my first page, you got Momonosuke right there, right out the gate. And these aren't even that like rare cards, but just because it's Momonosuke, that's where they are. We got my top 3 favorite Luffy cards right as you open. I think this is like one of my favorite Luffy cards of all time, just because it like does a really good job at just showcasing all of his forms. It's just so him. And I love this one because I love the art style, and I love this one because the freaking scene was so sick. Like when I started watching Wano, also this Sanji card really good. Traffy, Dofi, two like this is my favorite page, obviously, because that's what, let me just run through this real quick. Got my Dom page. You're gonna be very sorry. I gotta look at this. You're gonna be very underwhelmed by my collection because I just started. All my cards are just little broke boy cards, but I'm just getting into it, and I'm just finding all of the cards that I really like. So we have this here. I got this Kaido. This is my Dawn page, and then I start doing each page is a straw hat. So we got Luffy, Zoro, and it goes in the order at which they join the crew. So here's my Straw Hat cards. You can see I've got a long way to go. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Wano. Oh, the scene when Luffy approaches Kaido and Big Mom. There's a big ass plane outside right now, and I need to wait for it to pass. Scene when Luffy approaches Kaido and Big Mom at the top of Onigashima. Oh my gosh, and like saves Kinemon. As soon as I saw that scene where Luffy punches the shit out of Kaido and then like puts his hat on all badass like, and he's like, "I'm gonna be the king of the pirates." I like ran over to Bella. I was at work and I saw that scene. I ran over to Bella and I like literally got on the ground. I was like, "Thank you for getting me into the show," because that was like literally the most badass thing I've ever seen in anime. As that goes on, we get through the Kaido arc. We see the really sick punch, and then we get to the scene where Yamato raises his weapon up into the sky with like lightning kind of hitting it, and then Luffy's coming in slowly in the background. And you get those couple of frame rate drops where it's like slow motion. He's like on top of Momonosuke, and it's like the culmination of their whole relationship, like all built up into this moment where he's riding freaking adult Momonosuke into the battle and turns into freaking Gear 4 Snake Man and just kick some ass, dude. That was another scene that was like really exciting, really memorable moment that like there's just a few of those throughout all of One Piece that makes me go like, man, I'm really glad I saw this show. The scene where Luffy and Zoro meet up finally, and it's like the happiest you've ever seen Zoro. That's like a standout scene that I like really loved. The scene where Sanji and Luffy have their fight, and then Sanji is like taken away in the carriage thing and is like going like this and crying, and then and Luffy, and I watched this whole thing on dub, so Colleen Klinkenbeard was like basically my Luffy the whole way through. But the way that she acted out Luffy's lines, when he was like, without you, I'll never be king of the pirates. And the way he says that, like, fucking just like got me right in my heart. I cried there on the spot. Pretty much all of Egghead, because that's when I was like, I'm like an obsessed fan, and now I'm just watching the newer content. Emu destroying Leloucia. Oh my god. That's when I saw that and I was like, okay, this isn't just a silly pirate adventure anymore. This is big, and there's like consequences to these like insane devil fruits. The fan letter was a moment because it was just so cool to see the perspective of just like a regular human in the world of One Piece with all these like giant powerful people around. Like the one scene in the Paramount War when you just had the like the two the two brothers fighting, and then there's Mihawk and Crocodile, the Mihawk and Crocodile, and they clash, and they just fucking just don't give a shit about anybody, and it's just like this giant crash. And then Luffy is like in the background, like this like alien like boy that's just jumping around, and you can like barely see him because he's so fast. It's just really interesting to get a perspective on the outside like that. Anyways, that's the video. I just wanted to run you guys through my adventure of basically being assigned all these One Piece pops and like wanting them to be better, starting the show, finishing the show, becoming an insanely obsessed fan, and now like trying to tell you guys that like I am doing my absolute best to make anything I'm assigned as good as possible. And there's a lot of One Piece stuff that we're doing right now that I'm like so excited for you guys to see. Like my heart and soul into these One Piece pops, and I just want them all to be amazing. And just freaking stay tuned for the ones coming out. Gum Gum Fruit. I also colored it. I outlined it and added little outlines using my Copic Acreas. But anyways, all I ask is that you stay tuned and see what Funko has coming up for One Piece. It's all going to be really sick, really fun. I got One Piece shit everywhere now. So thanks to these pops for introducing me to One Piece. Thanks to the Mariners for supplying me with a shirt to wear to really show that I'm a fan. Thanks to Leah for taking me to the One Piece Symphony and sitting through it. She doesn't know shit about One Piece, but she supports my love for that show so much. She is like so supportive. She'll let me talk about it as long as possible. I'll tell her about storylines, and she'll just listen and like humor me and be like, "Oh shoot!" Like I told her about Kuma's whole backstory tonight, and she was just there for the ride. Like, damn, that sucks. That guy's life sucks. And yeah, shout out to Leah for putting up with all of my obsessive One Piece things right now. I never actually said why I got this hat. It was for her to wear because I have another Luffy hat, incidentally. So now I have two Luffy hats, and I wanted this one, which is better than my last Luffy hat. So she got to wear that Luffy hat to the symphony. So we both wore Luffy hats. Went to the symphony. Symphony was really fucking good. I hadn't seen the Kaido fight when I watched it, so I had to close my eyes. They were playing the freaking dun 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 dun. You're probably gonna get more One Piece talk on this channel. I figured I'd just come out the gate with what I think would probably be the most interesting angle and kind of unique to my experience of discovering the show and falling in love with it. So if you made it to the end of this video, that's really nice of you. I'm glad you listened to me yap about this really beautiful show and listening to my like metamorphosis into not liking One Piece, being like forcefully assigned a shitload of One Piece pops into the point and getting to the point where I like started becoming disappointed in the fact that I didn't understand who any of the characters were, which launched me into spending a year and a half to watch 1,000+ episodes to be caught up. And now, oh man, don't regret a single minute of watching this show. I love this show so much, and I'm so glad that I'm like on the other side with everybody else, like witnessing as it comes out. I'm not even gonna touch on the manga. I'm not even gonna touch on the manga. I haven't read it. Maybe I might do it. I'm a little tempted, but I just like watching the show right now, and that's it. So if you like this video and like listening to me yap and everything, please leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought of it. You could subscribe to my channel. I got a bunch more video ideas to put out, and they're not necessarily all going to be just me drawing. I just like talking sometimes. So yeah, later. Peace. Catch you on the flip side. See you later, excavator.